no, I'm like, I'm like really proud of myself right now, so I'm like kind of bragging over everything. So. Hi.
Okay, the only way I adjust the volume is by the gain.
Hi. Hi. Are you gonna stay here?
She wants me to, yeah.
You should do it. You should.
Or am I supposed to sit here or stand?
Any.
Sit how like Jordan sits.
Yeah. Sit up here or something.
Okay.
Want me to do? Want a cadet to deal with lines?
We just steal stupid stuff? I would love coffee. Oh my god, it'll be the first time I don't fall asleep. Yeah. Why is this turned up almost to the max? The thing, because blue's quieter than orange. No, they're both adjusted to the same place. I also think orange might be like really loud, because I think like
When we tested on that.
Matthew's played with the thingy, so then I think that is a contributor.
Put it at the side. Yes, we're good.
No.
You're good. Ask them to do this first. To use prioritizing. Maybe use that.
This orange one?
Where do you say? Change that.
We don't need to change anything from there. We can
Sure.
change
Like, what if it's too loud?
She can change it.
Yeah.
Can I though?
You look very, very ready for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, practicing her skill.
Any sound goes wrong, is that
Hey, you know what?
executive?
Was this power for this?
Yeah, it was power for this.
And then this power is for this. Okay.
This is actually
Can we just steal off Duco's?
Miss Gage's voice is really loud.
I mean,
Yes.
this isn't that quiet.
It is. I mean, no, it's not quiet. It's really loud already.
Change it.
Just turn it down once you start speaking. I'm just going to turn it a little
Do
bit.
you want to test this? Yeah.
We can adjust the volume.
Hello, good evening.
Look, it's not even that loud.
Manchu, are we good? Can you hear me? Testing, testing.
Yeah. Should we tell it to speak a little closer?
Test, test.
Can you speak a little bit closer to it?
Fantastic.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone. I think I might just spend a quick minute and just explain all of this for tonight's meeting. When we decided to try and go do a hybrid for this meeting, so in person, because we missed in person so much the last couple of years, and Randy loves to break bread and share a sense of community, and so we thought, you know what, we're going to try to do both. Doing hybrid that our teachers have done for the last 2 years with the pandemic comes with many, many challenges. And so the moment that Aziz and I decided to do a hybrid, I started to ask questions because I am so not tech savvy. And I'll be the first to admit it, but I'm not afraid to ask for help. And so I started to ask for help, and it just morphed into this. And so the awesome part is that we have Manchu Wong at the back. Manchu, give us a wave. And he's from TDSB, and Manchu, I don't know your title, forgive me. But right now, he is our multimedia specialist. And so he came in tonight, or today, he's been here since this afternoon. And then Mr. Yuan, who is a staff advisor for our tech crew, we talked and we thought, you know what, why don't we make this a field experience for our tech crew and have them work with Manchu and with the setup and learn a little bit about the equipment and see how we can pull this off together. So I want to welcome, of course, all of our students. Thank you so much for your help this afternoon for this evening. And Manchu, thank you, yes. So I don't know how many have joined us from home. So what Manchu's doing is he's bringing in the folks at home that are on the Zoom link. And he is projecting this. How many? 6. Okay, thank you. On a YouTube link. And so that's how we're brought together, yes. I'm gonna go on a limb, Aziz, and I'm gonna say that I don't think it's gonna look this way the next time, but anyway, we'll, for tonight, let's get going. So, Aziz, I'll let you, it's your meeting, so I'll let you start.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gage. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? It's, yeah, wonderful to see such a nice turnout. Wow. I think this could be our largest for the year so far. So very nice to have you all with us. Can everyone hear me okay? Is this better? Okay. This is better? This is better. Okay. Just with my reading glasses, I do the trombone normally, so I'm not sure how to do that with a mic. Why don't we get right into the meeting, because we have a really exciting agenda for you and a quite important one for the year. We're going to be focusing tonight on what's to come next year for our students. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Blessing Shiminga, who will be doing our land acknowledgement. Blessing? Here we are. Okay. So excuse us. I should say thank you for your patience tonight, because this is our first time testing this out, and we're hoping that this will continue to be how we do things. So we're back and forth with the microphones and all that. We're going to try and smooth that out and try and keep time as well tonight. So thank you. Here you go, Blessing.
Thank you. We acknowledge that we are hosted on the lands of the Mississaugas of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and the Inuit peoples.
Thank you very much, Blessing. Okay, we have a few council members away this evening, so I need a few people to step in for some of the housekeeping that we're going to do. If I could go to the next page, please. Thank you. So with housekeeping, we're going to try and get that out of the way so that we can get right into our meeting. I need someone to, Rabina is unfortunately stuck in traffic and isn't able to make it tonight. So could I have someone to approve from our SAC committee to approve the agenda for this evening? Someone to vote it? Reem, thank you. Second, anyone? Thank you, Randy. And our minutes from our last council meeting. Thank you, by the way, Deva, for providing those. Can I have a motion to accept those into council tonight? Kathy, thank you so much. Second? Randy, thank you. And our third and final approval is required for our financial update. We have no change in position from our last council meeting. We have not fundraised, and we have not spent any other funds other than the treats at the back, which we'll have an accounting for at our next meeting. So could I have someone to approve? Thank you, Deva. That comes later. Steal my thunder. An approval to accept our financial update from our last meeting. Reem, thank you. Second? Kathy, thank you. Wonderful. Next page, please. I'd like to give the microphone over to Ms. Gage for her principal's report, and she, I think, has some good news to share with us.
You always do that to me, and I don't know what you're referring to. Oh, yes, that's old news. Anyway, yes, so the pool's open, which is amazing. Yes, yes. So if I joke that my Friday forecast is read by about 6 people, and so if you did see the Friday forecast the last 2 weeks, I've put pictures of the pool. with our little rubber duckies in it. So the pool is open, and this is the second week it's been open, and so our kids have been in it already, yeah. And we actually had, there was a staff swim yesterday, and I think 3 or 4 staff members dipped in after school yesterday. So it's open, everyone is thrilled, and it's going to be starting, our permits are returning next week, I believe, or perhaps this weekend, I forget. But yes, our kids are back in it. On the swimming note, our swim team competed at the regionals today, and they brought home 2 out of the 3 championships. And so our girls won overall. Yeah, it was amazing, and overall points for our school. So we were the overall winners and then overall girls. So yes, amazing, amazing. Congrats to all of our swimmers. Next week they go to the cities, and then after the cities is perhaps the provincials, but we're taking it one step at a time. I'll start with important dates, and this is just for this semester, and all of the things that I'm going to touch on will be in our minutes, okay? So you don't have to, you can jot them down if you like, but everything, I pass everything off to Dava, and she inserts my notes into the minutes, okay? So Sem 2 started last Friday, so the dates for semester 2 are February the 3rd, and completion of the semester is June the 30th. So we go right to the bitter end, if you will. Parent-teacher interviews for this semester are April the 13th. It's a Thursday. We'll run 2 sessions like we did in the fall, so one from 2 to 4, and the evening session from 5:30 to 7:30. Okay. Achievement and evaluation. I'll touch on a few points for here. Our midterm reports for Sem 2 will be emailed the week of April 24th. All of our report cards were mailed yesterday and today for Sem 1, so our students and our families should have received our Sem 1 report cards today. We had, for some reason, a small little formatting glitch, and it seemed that students in grade 11 who had a spare or something like that, their report card came up blank. They just had to scroll down. And so if that happened to you, scroll down and your report card is there. But everything else, I think the transmission of it went fine. Coming back to Sem 2. So midterms, again, will be sent out the week of April 24th. I'm jumping ahead to June. And I've had several families reach out to me to ask about examination period for the end of semester 2. And that is so they can plan for camp, some travel plans, etc. So I'm going to touch upon our dates for the end of June. Starting with moratorium. So moratorium for this semester will start on June the 13th. And that is a time, moratorium is a chunk of time before our official exams start, where we don't have excursions, we don't have field trips, we don't have students out of the classroom, and so that will start on the 13th. Our designated exam period for this semester will be June 19th to the 26th, okay? So again, that's the 19th to the 26th. With our final reports emailed the first week of July. So that's the July 4th week, okay? Other dates for Sem 2 to take note if you have grade 9 math students. Our EQAO will be written in class just like we did Sem 1, and the dates for that will be June 14, 15, and 16, okay? Our literacy test is going to be in class from March 27th to April the 25th. Okay, so that's a much larger window. And again, this was in class. We booked the library, and the kids take the test on the technology in the library. Okay. My facility was, the good news was the pool. I've already talked about that. My next is our school-based tutoring that we started in, this was the ministry-funded tutoring that started in the fall, late in the fall, and it was supposed to end just prior to winter break. They extended it to the end of March, so that is still going. So our teachers started that again this week. I put it in the Friday forecast. I'll put it again in the forecast. So we have a little bit of a change in what's being covered. We have an additional math class that is going to be available after school. So please, if your student would like a little bit of support in math, English, French, geography, science. Okay, those are the subjects that are being offered after school. And my last item is, I mentioned this at our last meeting, but I'm going to talk about it. It'll be a standing point of my report until it gets here, and that is International Day of Pink. So International Day of Pink is Wednesday, April the 12th, and York Mills has been selected to host this day for the TDSB, but it's also across Canada. So it's going to be, Manchu's going to be back here with his crew. We are going to have, it's a whole school endeavor, but we are going to have lots and lots and lots of pink splashed across the school, and lots of messaging about acceptance, about having courage, about inclusion, leading up to the 12th. We have this is the speakers so far in no particular order. Our Director of Education, Ms. Colleen Russell Rollins, is coming. Our trustee, Rachel Chernos Lynn, will be here. Mayor John Tory. We have a keynote speaker, Martin Boyce, who is a survival of the Stonewall riots. So it's going to be a very exciting time here. Our York Mills dance team is going to perform. Our music department, Ms. Bonera is going to have lots of her students involved in performing that day. So we are looking very, very forward to it. Okay? That's it for me.
See, there was uplifting news, hence the balloons. Any questions from the floor?
The 26th is still, June 26th is still part of exams, and that's a Monday.
It could be, yep.
Could be. And then for the rest of the week, the Thursday, Friday is a PA day. So we should plan that kids need to be in school for the Tuesday, Wednesday of that week.
So the Tuesday is actually going to be our grade 12 commencement. Okay? The Wednesday will be mark return day, okay, or exam completion day. When the kids come in, they look at their exams, they go through it with their teachers, they get their final marks. And the Thursday and Friday are PA days. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
So officially, and we were hoping to do this tonight, but we'll be doing it at our next meeting. Officially, we don't have a process in place for minutes. Parents can always request through our school council email for minutes. I'm hoping that we put into place this year minutes from every meeting right onto our parent page on the school council, on the school's website. One of the things that I'm going to be talking with our school council team is whether the minutes for tonight's meeting should be posted as well. So parents can always have it, because at the end of the day, we want to be as transparent as possible, and we understand that not all parents can come to the meetings, and for them to be able to find a reference for what happened at any of our meetings, we want them to be able to tap into that. So we're hoping to put this set of minutes for sure onto our website, on the parent page of the school website. I'll be very specific to that. If there are minutes from any previous council meeting you would like, please just reach out to me. I'm happy to provide them to you at any time. It was something that we had mentioned at the very beginning of the year. I don't think you were at that first meeting, so I apologize. What I'll do is I'll make a note so that at every meeting I will mention minutes, so that if parents do want information or access to that, give me a second, Randy, I recognize you, that they can access that. Is that fair, or is there something I can do better? Absolutely. Okay, sure, go ahead, Leslie.
Would it help, and you tell me, because you're the ones who are getting the emails from the school. So when you receive the reminders for tonight with the link, if I put the agenda and the minutes from the previous meeting there, will that, okay, awesome. Pardon? Yes, yep, okay, solved.
Okay, done, okay, easy. We're very flexible. Randy? Hang on one second, Randy. We've got a microphone coming to you.
Hi, parents.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Also, a suggestion is when we come to the meetings, if you have the minutes printed out, a few sheets, so people that do come early, they can read over the minutes provided. So we're showing transparency all the way through, right? Okay.
Sorry, we have just a comment from our tech crew, so someone could bear with us.
So again, this is our first time doing it. We would love if you can just wait for us to pass off the mic for you to speak to, because our virtual audience won't be able to hear you. So I know we're asking for your patience. Thank you very much. So there is a runner with a second mic moving around. Just please wait, because again, our virtual audience would love to be included as well. Thank you.
Is
Thank
it
you very
possible
much.
to download it, as you mentioned, like both ways? Not just through the forecast, also to put it down under our school council meeting minutes?
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
that's
because
the ideal plan, is
yeah.
to have an electronic copy as
Yeah.
opposed to just a paper copy available here. Again, council for the last 3 years has been trying to move forward, putting into bylaws so that this can all happen. Because there hasn't been any in place, there's been, every chair takes their own position on how they want to deal with minutes. We're hoping to change that this year. We're hoping to be as transparent as possible. I've already completed all the bylaws. I don't want to take up too much time on them tonight because we do want to focus on Ms. Grizella's presentation. But if you're able to attend our next meeting, I will be going through a lot of the key things that are related to bylaws and the things that we will put into place so that we are more responsible to you. We can start that tonight with making sure that the minutes do get posted through the Friday forecast, okay? All right. I'd like to move to the next, yes, and that's part of the whole process of the next meeting, yeah. So we'll get to that.
Okay.
Okay.
One quick question. I just wanted to know, for your International Day of Pink, will parents be invited to view like the student presentations and stuff like that on that day, or is it just for school?
That's a really good question. And so we're actually, our cafetorium can't hold the whole school. And so we're actually in conversations, the committee, who's going to come? What students are going to be invited? So we're still yet to determine that. Okay? Randy?
Well, you said it's hosted by TDSB. Is going to be showing all over your hosting. So is TDSB going to be doing it on TDSB Web Live? Is that a possibility?
Manchu?
Will it be on TDSB live webcast? Yes. Oh, okay. So we can provide this. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to our next item. Just looking at the agenda. Oh, that's me. I'll keep this very short. There are two things that I'd like to speak to quickly about. One is an application that we made earlier in the year for what was known last year as the Pro Grant Council. They've changed the name this year to the School Council Innovation Grant, which is a request for up to $1,500 annually to support innovative and the development of any new ideas or projects that engage parents and caregivers to build capability around anti-Black racism, anti-Indigenous racism, anti-racism, equity and anti-oppression, food sovereignty, and human rights. This is, I believe, our third year that we've applied. This year we applied for $1,500. We were granted $1,000. Some of you may remember we had two speakers in last year dealing with anti-racism issues. This year we've been granted the $1,000, so we're currently looking for new speakers for this year. And we will probably have a special meeting for school council related to anti-racism. But that's something we just got news of the $1,000, so school council still needs to make a decision on that, okay? The other thing I wanted to mention briefly is, making sure I stick to the right thing. Yes, the advisory council bylaws. As mentioned a few minutes ago, we don't have any in place. We've finally been able to get a good, decent version of bylaws for us. We're going to be putting that into place. Once that gets put into place, it makes us a little bit more responsible and puts into place more of a structure so that council can function properly year over year, so that there's continuity, there's abilities and functions that people can work with, and a whole structure involved around bylaws. We'll be speaking more to it next meeting. I hope you can join us for that. By the way, the reason for some of these pictures, and I realize I haven't even mentioned them because I'm trying to make sure we get to Jenna quickly. We're at a crossroads right now, so that's why that icon is there. Miss Gage's picture was about lifting us all up, and at the very beginning on the agenda page, I'm not sure if you remember, but there was a bunch of puzzle pieces together. The puzzle pieces are here to reflect Miss Grizella's, I keep calling her Jenna, but it's Miss Grizella's presentation time where she's going to put a lot of pieces together for us with regards to next year's My Blueprint. But before we get to that, and if we could go to the next slide, I'd like to introduce our student voice for tonight's meeting. This is something we started this year where we invite a student club that belongs to the York Mills community, along with a teacher voice as well. But for the purpose of tonight, we're just using our student voice. I'd like to introduce the Black Student Alliance, who would like to speak to you about Black History Month in Canada. And our representatives from the Alliance is Blessing Shiminga and Alexei Watson. If I could have you guys come up and do your presentation. Please give them a big round of applause, folks.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for attending and taking your time to be here. We really appreciate your time.
And happy Black History Month, everyone.
My name is Alexi.
And I'm Blessing. And we are the co-heads and representatives of the Black Student Alliance for the past 3 years here at Yorkville CI.
So what exactly is the BSA and how did we end up here?
Thank you. The program was mandated by the TDSB Center of Excellence for Black Student Achievement, which is the TDSB's responses to dismantle anti-Black racism within the school board and improve both experiences and for Black students. The creation of the Center of Excellence is also responsive to the voices of the Black communities who consistently advocated for deeper systemic change from the TDSB.
Therefore, Black Student Alliances are more than just recreational clubs. We are an in-school program for self-identifying Black students. We aim to improve the overall learning experience by providing a safe place of belonging, well-being, and community.
So for some background information on the BSA here at York Mills. Yes, please. Thank you. We started online during the pandemic, and during that time, we were virtually meeting once a week, about for an hour or so, in which we learn about some social justice, the importance of anti-oppression and anti-racism in school. Although we had success in the development of the group, we still had some dilemmas, such as maintaining affirming staff. In a span of a year, we went through a total of 4 different staff advisors.
Eventually, we got back on track and started planning activities and events for the club, including events throughout Black History Month. Around that time, we really started to grow in leadership, and now we have over 30 active members. This year, we've started having our weekly in-person meetings every Wednesday, and have been attending TDSB-wide events, which we will speak later about in the presentation.
And we have one video from our event here at York Mills last year. Next slide, please. So ultimately, the BSA is made up of students whose goal is to increase Black students' voices, Black mental health, and ensure Black student success, build capacity in student leadership, empowerment, and advocacy. And we do all of this through discussions, schools, assembly, guest speakers, presentations, and other events that are supported at our school.
We as BSA students work together to promote our collective voice. We supported by TDSB staff, challenge anti-Black racism and contribute to ensure TDSB meets its commitment to equity and inclusion and Black student success.
For the year of 2023, the BSA is planning on attending the Know Your Worth Black Youth Empowerment Conference at the end of the month. We have also decided to celebrate Black History Month in March in order to break free from the stigma that February is the only month worth celebrating Black history. And events such as a Spirit Week, bake sales, random act of kindness, daily announcements, and hopefully a guest speaker assembly are all in store.
Thank you everyone for your time again. We really appreciate it. Special thanks to Ms. Hewitt, Ms. Gage, Ms. Lil, Mr. Joblin, Kareem, Ms. Samuels, our parents and supporting teachers, and everyone who's present here today. We hope you've gained a better understanding about the Black Student Alliance and its importance.
And are there any questions? And are there any questions or comments?
I just had a couple of recommendations for speakers for the pro-grant equity thing. You might consider bringing somebody in from the Black North Initiative. From Black North Initiative. It might particularly appeal with parents. Herbie Kuhn from the Voice of the Raptors might be somebody that you would consider. And then last year for work, I interviewed Christopher Gordon. He's the first Black partner at Ernst & Young. And he has 2 kiddos in high school, so like can see the issues from both perspectives.
Yeah, definitely we'll put that like in our agenda like for the rest of the year and look into them. Thank you.
That was. All right. And Ms. Gage, you're doing absolutely wonderful on tech support. Yeah? Flying through this without any issues. And for those at home tonight watching us or streaming from wherever you are, thank you for your patience tonight. This is our first time doing this, so we do appreciate your patience and all the hiccups that we're experiencing. All right, I think we're moving to the next item on my slide. Are we going straight to? All right. And I believe, yes, all right. Perfect, okay. With if I could ask Miss Grisella to come to the floor. She is going to put all our pieces together. There you are. Thank you.
I'm really going to double task it here. This is an interesting experience. All right, so welcome. I'm glad to see so many faces here, and we have our people online which are joining us. So for those of you who I haven't met before, my name is Jenna Grisella, and I am one of the guidance counselors here at York Mills. So February is course selection month, so we thought it'd be a good time to kind of talk a little bit about course selection, go through the process, share some information so that our students can make some informed choices when it comes to their courses for next year. All right, so I'm just starting by, this is the guidance website, the York Mills guidance website. So this is kind of where you're going to find all the information. Everything that I'm going to show you tonight is available all there. It's not hidden, it's all there. We have a nice little banner here and everything about February being course selection, right? So if you want to fast track it to that section, that's all you need to do, and all the information I'm going to speak to tonight is available there, okay? What I wanted to speak to first, this evening, this is our course selection guide. So we've got tabs down the sides. You can navigate to whatever information you're looking for. I'm going to kind of go through, touch on everything a little bit, because I know that we've got graduating students, we have students in grade 9, we have everybody here, right? So I'm just going to touch a little bit on everything. So we've got our important dates. So this week we have started visiting our classes, and we're talking to students, showing them the guide, giving them information about course selection. So that's kind of what's in plan right now. Obviously tonight is the Parent Advisory Council. And then the 16th is our next big date. So next week we're going to do a course fair on the 16th. School starts at 9 o'clock like a normal day. But we're going to have the course fair in the morning, and then students will go to their first period class at 9:55, like a late start, okay? So it's not actually sleep-in, it's school, you come for 9 o'clock. So this is a really good opportunity for students to go around the school, talk to teachers who are going to teach the courses, find out information about what that course is about, right? So that you can make a good choice and choose stuff that you want to do and that you're going to be interested in, right? And you can have those conversations. This is the opportunity to do so, okay? So that's going to be on the 16th. Also on the 16th is going to be the first day that students can actually submit their courses on My Blueprint, okay? So right now you can go on My Blueprint, all the courses are there, you can make a plan, you can look at the courses and see what's out there. Students just aren't able to actually push the button to say submit until that day, right? Because the idea is we want them to participate and make those informed choices. And then they have to submit their choices by the 23rd. So they get a week to submit, but you can go into planning mode right now, okay? Make sure that your student has your email, because when they submit, they're going to be prompted to enter their parent or guardian email, and you will get an email and you say, yes, I agree with these choices, because I'm hoping they've already had a conversation, okay? So those are the important dates. If students are having issues, they can always make an appointment with us, but we are just going to have some lunchtime sessions the week of. So students can come to Student Services. We'll have some Chromebooks available, right, if they want to kind of sit in a group and do it, okay? Graduation requirements. So what do we need to... Oh, my links aren't working on this thing. That's okay. As I said, everything is posted here, so it's easy to get. So if you go onto that link, it'll hyperlink. I think it's just a little bit weird in this situation. So these are all the graduation requirements that students require to get their Ontario Secondary School Diploma, right? So of course, they need 4 Englishes, grade 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 French credit, 3 math, 9, 10, and 11, 2 science, a grade 9 geography, a grade 10 history, 1 arts credit, 1 phys ed credit, civics and careers. And then we also need what's called the group credits, okay? So most students will start to earn group credits more in grade 11 and 12. They might get them a little bit earlier, but that's when they should really pay attention to them is in grade 11 and 12, right? So a group 1 credit would be an additional credit in like a Canadian World Studies or humanities, so if they take psychology, history, okay? Also, if you're taking French as a second language, also counts, okay? Group 2 credits are additional credits in like phys ed, arts, or business, okay? And these are beyond what's required in like grade 9, right? So if you do your 1 arts credit in grade 9, it would be an additional one, right? Or if you've done BTT, Introduction to Business, those are all group 2s. Also French, second language, also counts. Group 3, an additional credit in like science, technology, computer science, okay? So there's different groups there. Students do need to take all 3 of them. If they're not interested in some of the things I suggested, co-op can also count for any of the groups, right? Co-op is a great experience for students to kind of have a work experience, try on a job, see if it fits, see if they like it, right? And get some of those experiences, right? And that can also count for the group credits as well. All right, so those are all the compulsory credits. Then we have 12 elective credits, which are students' choice, for a total of 30 at the end. Outside of the credits, there are 3 other requirements that students need to graduate. They need their 40 hours of community involvement. They need to do the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test. And then new, not for grade 12s who are graduating this year, but 11s, 10s, and 9s, is the online learning requirement. So this is the one requirement you can opt out of, though. Okay? So we have links there to the opt-out form. So it's just important that people take action on this. So you either take the courses and they're done, or you submit the form because you are not going to do it, okay? You can't not do anything or take any action because you won't graduate. The student will not graduate at the end, okay? So either the form or the courses. It's also important to know that for any of the online learning requirements, it has to be asynchronous, okay? So some of like the remote courses where it's like you attend a class, that doesn't count, okay? Sure. Okay. Oh, question? Yes. So if students are in French immersion, you require 4 French immersion language credits as well as 4 English credits. If students are in like a Francophone school like board, it's a little bit different because there's other French credits they can do. But for us, 4 and 4. Course codes. So just a reminder about course codes. They're important to know how to read so you know what you're taking. So the beginning of the course code always tells us what the subject is. E for English, A for arts, B for business, right? They kind of make sense. The 4th digit is the grade, right? So 1 is a 9, 2 is a 10, 3 is an 11, 4 is a grade 12. Okay? Particularly when students get into senior grades, like grade 11 and grade 12, this becomes important because if you're applying to post-secondary, they can ask for specific course codes that students must take, right? So you need to know how to read the code and make sure you're taking the right course. The 5th digit tells you the level, right? In grade 9 and 10, students are taking the same level, right? The levels become a little bit more important in grade 11 and 12, because again, if you're looking at post-secondary planning, those courses, there's certain courses that are required for different destinations and different programs. So it's really good to kind of do some backwards planning. The last digit tells you a little bit more about the program. So 1 is for a regular program, 5 is for French immersion, 8 is for ESL, and 9 is special education. Those are the ones that we have here at York Mills, okay? I mentioned this just because for students who are in French immersion, it's important to get a certain number of credits if they want to earn the French immersion certificate, right? 10 for the certificate, 11 for the honor certificate, right? And also sometimes students will accidentally, you know, pick the French math or the English math, and, you know, so it's important to pay attention to those codes. All right, post-secondary pathways. So where do we go with life after high school? There are 5 different destinations. There's apprenticeship, right, where students will work with somebody who's in a profession, be trained, be paid, and then become that profession. So things like electrician, plumbing, esthetician. There are programs that you can actually do within TDSB and within co-op to actually start an OEAP program. We also have college, Colleges offer certificate, which are 1 year, diploma, which are 2, advanced diploma, which are 3, and also degree programs at colleges, okay? They have a plethora of different programs, okay? English is always going to be a requirement. Because they offer so many different programs, it's really important to kind of look at the program and what their requirements are. Some might look at 6 courses, some might look at 2, some might look at 1, right? It really depends on the program, okay? The other thing to keep in mind is while post-secondary institutions might look at marks, they may also look at other things, right? There might be supplemental applications, right? If you're applying to an art program, you might need a portfolio, okay? So those are things to research as well. Community living is for our students with developmental disabilities, and they go into work and community living programs. We have university, which offers degree, master, and doctorate programs, right? And students always need English, and then you need 5 other courses that are at the grade 12 university or mixed level by the time they get into grade 12, okay? That's the minimum requirement. Similar to college, it's important to research specific programs because certain things are going to require certain courses, right? Like a business program is going to need English, going to need math, right? Science program is going to need English, math, and science, right? So it's important to investigate those. These are just kind of like the general rules, okay? And then work, where we all hope to end up in the end, right? Okay, so grade 9 course selection. This just kind of shows a student in grade 9, what should they select for grade 10, right? They need to do English, math, science, history, civics, and careers. Then they get 3 electives, right? So 3 that are their choice, okay? We also ask that when students are doing course selection that they put in a couple alternates, right? So in the event a course can't be scheduled or there's different, it's not being offered, then we kind of know what their next choice is. Okay, grade 10, right? So this is a grade 10 student going into grade 11. 2 required courses, math and English. The other 6 are their choice, right? And this is where it's kind of important for students to kind of start thinking about the post-secondary pathways because as they're going into grade 11, there may be courses that they require in grade 11 that allow them to take courses in grade 12, right? If you need grade 12 chemistry, you need grade 11 chemistry. Okay, and grade 11 students going into grade 12, English is the one course that they must do, right? And at this point, they may not, because students need 30 credits to graduate, right? And they have the opportunity to take 32. So by the time they get to grade 12, you know, they may want or benefit from a spare or like a studies period, which is totally fine. But they do need to take at least 6 courses at York Mills, right? So 3 in each semester. They can select the spare in my blueprint, right? So then we know that that choice is intentional. And yeah, so again, wanting to make sure you're looking at post-secondary pathways, right, in planning your courses. And grade 12s, if we have some graduating students, which we do, you have to RSVP to the party, right? You're either coming back to York Mills or you're not, right? You need to let us know because we need to plan for you, okay? So even if a student is graduating, they still need to do my blueprint and let us know their plan for next year. All right. So this is just, this has a link to our course offerings. So this is all in my blueprint, right? But if, you know, everybody has different learning needs, so sometimes you like a list, right? So I've encouraged students to kind of take a look at this list, maybe highlight things, circle things, so that when it comes to course fair, they are prepared and can kind of, you know, have a list of places to go and people to talk to when they come that day. Okay. This is just a refresher for our students with regards to my blueprint and submitting course selections. I'm not going to kind of go through it too much tonight, but it's a reference there. Okay, alternative learning options. So these are just other ways that students can get credits outside of York Mills. So we have summer school. Summer school is offered in July. Last year they had an in-person as well as a remote option. The remote option was synchronous though, so you still attended a class. Okay, and that's offered in July. We have e-learning, which is offered in July and August. This is the asynchronous courses, okay? Students can take a summer school course. If they are like 90% sure they're going to take that course in the summer, then they can leave that out of their plan in my blueprint. That's okay, right? If they're not sure, I would suggest leaving it in, just because it's easier to take a course out than to try and put a course back in, right? If you have a student who's tried to make a timetable change in the last couple of weeks, you will know that it was challenging, right? Because we build our courses and our timetable based on the information. So when things change, we try and help students, but sometimes it's just not possible, okay? And also keep in mind that with summer school and e-learning, the courses that are offered tend to be compulsory and tend to be senior level, okay? So, you know, banking on having like a painting course in the summer, probably not gonna happen, right? You need to do like a chemistry course, yeah, it'll probably be offered, okay? Dual credits. Dual credits is a really interesting opportunity for students because they can actually take a college course while they're in high school. They get a college credit and a high school credit at the same time. And they have really interesting courses. You can do welding, they have like crime scene investigation, forensic psychology. If your student's interested, then they can come and speak to us, right, about how to access that. This is just a resource, a list of resources and websites. I'm gonna touch on a couple of them in a couple minutes, but just some links to important things. And obviously, our information, right? Should students or you need to get in contact with us. So I did want to show you that, but I also wanted to spend a little bit of time with my blueprint just to show a few features, right? So this is a student view, okay? And this is the student's plan, so I filled it out from 9 to 12, right? They've got all the courses in. What you can see when you're on my blueprint is if you click on View Progress, this shows you like a checklist if you've got everything you need to graduate, right? So it shows what's required, it shows what's in the plan or what's earned, right? So it kind of gives some feedback. So this is a good way for students to kind of check, have I done all my checks, right? So when students are planning courses, I always tell them to go for the compulsories first, right? What they need to graduate. The only thing I will say is right now with our new system in PowerSchool, the additional requirements are not linked. So it's possible that students have done these, they're not showing. Don't worry about that piece. Also, pathway eligibility. So once students have filled out their plan, you can actually see, based on that plan, what programs in Canada they can access from the courses that they've chosen. So if I click on one of these links, for example, it gives me feedback about all the university programs I could apply to based on what I've put in my plan, right? And so from here, I can do a keyword search to see if something comes up. I can do a province, like if I want to stay in Ontario, I want to go outside a province, right? So whatever they put in their plan, they can actually see what is accessible to them. And you can actually, in my blueprint, make multiple plans, right? You have to submit one for course selection, but you can make multiple plans. So this is kind of a really good feature of my blueprint, okay? If you have a student who's not sure, right? The Who Am I is really good. And if you go through all these surveys, it actually gives you some feedback for potential careers and occupations. And with those careers and occupations, you can actually take like a match quiz, you know, and see if it's something that you might be a good fit for you, right? So you can see I did a couple of things on here. So these are just a couple, I just wanted to highlight a couple of features of my blueprint, right, that are helpful for our students. Any grade, yeah, anytime, right? So we always use it. They always go on to do their course selection every year. They often use it with careers, right, to do some career planning and looking at possible pathways, but at any point, right? I think it's useful. And some, yeah.
I think the key thing that Jenna mentioned was backwards planning, and that's why it's so important that you can access this anytime. And from what I'm gathering in terms of my notes, backwards planning should start, if you can, look at what you're wanting to do at the post-secondary level, and then look at the requirements grade 12 backwards. Am I understanding you correctly that way?
Yes, if possible.
Okay.
Yeah, I think backwards planning is ideal. However, not everybody knows what they want to do, where they want to go, and that's totally okay. So I think it's also, if you know what you want to do, then make a plan. If you're not sure, then take a variety of things and kind of plan, like, just make a plan that kind of includes a few different things, right? You know, if a student gets to grade 12 and they've realized that they need chemistry for something that they want to apply to, that's okay, right? You can do a grade 11 chemistry in summer school. We might be able to do grade 11 chemistry first semester, grade 12 chemistry second semester, right? There's always, whatever happens, there's always a plan that we can figure out, right? There's never a door closed, is what I think is the most important thing, right? If you know exactly, cool. If you don't, we can figure it out, right? And so I would just take a variety of different things so then you get those experiences to see what you want to do, right? Because I think a lot of times people make decisions on what our peers are doing. There's other sort of influences, and sometimes we don't get to make the decision for ourselves, right? Which is important. Okay, so I just wanted to show a couple links here as well. So from my blueprint, when you look at the post-secondary options there, it does give you information about like admission requirements and all that kind of stuff. But I also just wanted to show a couple other websites we use to help students kind of do research as well. So this is Ontario Universities. You've got all the categories here, right? As well as the keyword search, okay? So for example, if I just pick something random here, so these are all programs that have to do with computer science, right? So if I'm interested in a program, I click on it. It's going to give me information about what is required for this specific program, right? As far as like an admission average. It's also going to give me a list of requirements. So this program, because it's computer science, requires English, advanced functions, and calculus and vectors, okay? Not every university program requires math, okay? Also, you know, it's got links here to the website, so I can find out more information. Okay, so I think it's a good idea to kind of get some exposure, get a little bit of research, and see what's out there. Similarly, Ontario Colleges has the same function. So if I choose one, there. Right? So if I choose one, it takes me to the school website where I can see how many years is this? What courses am I going to take? What's required? Okay? So it's just important for students to be able to find these things so that they can do their research. I know it's a lot of information and a lot of information overload, and I feel like students have so many more options than maybe some of us did in the past, but you know, I like to make sure everybody's got what they need. So I think I've probably talked for long enough. I know that there may be some questions. I think you got a microphone there.
3 quick questions. One is the who am I?
Yeah.
Is that something that the kiddos can fill out on an annual basis because they're changing, so their interests are probably going to change? Like you're not stuck once you fill it out?
No, no, not at all. You can actually, so see right here, so I've done this one. See the little circly dude?
Got it.
Restart.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So often, like students will do it in grade 10 careers, right? You know, do it again in grade 12.
Perfect.
No problem.
Another question. I have a special girl in my life, and she's going to go from grade 8 to grade 9, and I'm worried she's not ready. She just came to Canada. She just started school for the first time in September. Is there a bridge program from grade 8 to grade 9 that I could enroll her in?
So what I would suggest is that at York Mills, at this school, if she's coming to this school, we do offer something called GLS. It's a learning strategies course. It would be an ideal course for any student who is coming in to from grade 8 to 9 to help with that transition, right? We do not have a bridging course as far as like if students are not working currently at like grade level, then the teacher would work with them to help them build their skills. But GLS would be a course where they do things like work on literacy and numeracy, as well as like just how to be a good student, right? Note-taking, studying, time management, like all that kind of stuff.
And is that in all, like she's at Deer Park, she's going to go to Northern next year. Would that be something offered at Northern?
So I believe every high school offers the GLS on their option sheet. Whether a school runs it or not will depend on how many students select it.
And is there anything like that in the summer?
So in the summer, students who are in grade 8 can take a course called, the course code is GLD 201. I think it's like exploring, I can't remember the title of it, but it's GLD, and that is the one course that students can take from grade 8 to grade 9. They don't offer a lot of the other courses because schools are offering them, and it's hard to plan if students do that in the summer, but that one course is available to grade 8 to grade 9 and would help with the transition piece.
Spectacular. Last question. What are the averages for university now?
Oh, they vary very much depending on the program that you're applying to, right? So, you know, some programs, I would say, you know, 75 is kind of like the baseline of probably what you would need is in around 75, but then there's some programs that are in the 90s, right? So it does vary.
Just kept you here. So when you're putting in courses for the following year, are you putting in courses for the year or for the semester? So if you want to take something that is requiring something else, how do you communicate, I want this one in the fall and this one in the spring?
Okay, so when you select courses, you can't select like specific semesters, right? The system as it's set up, though, is that if something is like a prerequisite for another course, it will attempt to load it that way, right? The only thing I would say if that students are trying to like reach ahead for credits, like say you have a grade 10 student, who's a grade 9 student who's going into grade 10, you know, wants to do grade 11 physics, right? So then it would require grade 10 science in first semester, grade 11 physics in second semester. Doing one choice in that will probably be okay, but if you do a bunch, it puts a lot of constraints on the timetable, and they will probably end up with a lot of conflicts, right? Because then you're relying on having a bunch of things in first semester that work together, and then a bunch of things in second semester to work together. So like putting one in, probably okay, but if you try and do a bunch, it probably is gonna wreak havoc.
I have a question. I'm not sure if it's related, but I know York Mills used to offer IB program, and it's not anymore. Is there, what does it take for the school to be able to run these programs, IB or AP, again?
I think, so I'm not familiar with York Mills running IB. I think if they did, it was probably quite a time ago that they did. I think that's maybe more of a question for Ms. Gage, but I think ultimately it's a central decision because they kind of place them in different areas. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Thank you. That predates my arrival as well. So I think there was some AP advanced placement courses here, but again, it was a decade or more ago, I think. And so it's a central process. So they look across the whole board and they see, I suppose, where there's not a need, but they try to spread it out, if you will. Special programs like certificate programs, SHISMs, things like that. We can apply for. AP, though, I'm not certain about that one. Yeah.
Is there any other questions? Is there any online? When do most students start really thinking about post-secondary and what they want to major in? My 9th grader has no idea. Okay. So I think, you know, again, it varies, right? Some people are very, like, they know exactly what they want to do and where they want to go, and some people may not know, right? And that can cause a little bit of anxiety, right? Especially if you're around other people who seem to know exactly what they want to do and where they want to go. I think just reassuring students that it's okay, right? It's okay to not know. encouraging them to take things for experience, right? Seeing where their strengths are, right? And exploring different opportunities, right? Because we don't know where we want to go. And then the other thing to consider is like the work environment as it exists now is very different, right? People aren't in the same job for their whole entire life like they used to be, right? And things are changing, and sometimes it's less about what you necessarily majored in and studied, but like your skills. What can you do, right? How can you work within the work environment, right? And how can you adapt?
And sometimes you might not have an idea as a student about what you want to do unless you actually see someone performing that job. Like, I did not know I wanted to be a child and youth worker until I saw someone working as a child and youth worker, and I was like, what is the job? And she said she's a teacher, and I mean her, what does she do? What is her job title? And when they said child and youth worker, I was like, that's what I want to do. And I thought I wanted to be a writer, but I'm a child and youth worker. And I had to see someone do it, perform it, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. So you might not have that experience until you actually see it with your eyes and you can ask the question.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why co-op is also a great opportunity, right? Try something on, see if it fits. If it doesn't fit, you've got that feedback, right? And you move on to something else. I don't know if there's anything else. Bueller? Yeah.
So how do you logistically manage co-op if you're not doing full days? Like, full days make sense in the sense that, you know, you have commuting time, but if you're not doing a full day, how do you get to where your placement is and back to school for class?
So our co-op program right now runs as a half day, right? So it's afternoons. So students leave during the lunch hour, right? Go to their job placement, and then they would travel home after their placement. So that's, you know, so it does require them to travel like during their lunch time. I would also say, like, I think they also try and work to have most placements, like, you know, in a commutable distance within the community, right? You know, sometimes it is hard because certain jobs might not exist here and they may have to travel. But, you know, if it takes them a little bit longer to get there, it might be that they stayed at 4 o'clock, right, to get their hours or something like that. So it kind of depends.
Day two, does it mean you don't go every day? Because then if you go on a day 1, day 2, you're going to miss different classes.
No, so it's both credits in the afternoon. So it takes up 2 credits, right? So when they flip, it's still the same. So it's always all afternoon, right? And there are opportunities, so there are central opportunities for full day things like the apprenticeship ones. If students are interested in that, even if we're offering a half day, there are ways for us to figure it out so those students can do those central experiences. So, you know, I wouldn't want a student to be discouraged that they can't apply or do a 4-credit co-op as far as like a central program, right? So for example, TDSB offers a Steps to Construction program. So if a student's interested in construction trades but doesn't know what they want to do, this program's great because they go to a building site, they can see, as Michelle was talking about, they can see like electrical, they can see carpentry, they can see plumbing, they can see drywall, they can see flooring, right? And they can see all of that kind of stuff. So if students are interested in that, we have ways that we can figure those things out. Randy? My microphone?
Again, what's the due date for the blueprint?
February 23rd. Mark it on your calendar. Don't worry, we will remind you. To the point of annoyance. Okay, good, all right. Yes. I'm a happy person, but I'll be grumpy on the 24th. Okay. All right, thank you very, oh, sorry.
Just remind us, for the community service, you don't want the kids reporting to you, I did an hour, you just want the whole lot at once. Or like, do you want it once a year? How?
Again, I feel like it would depend on your student, because there's some people, they need to hand it in, or it's gone and it's lost, right? I mean, in an ideal world, if you can hand them in the chunks, right, that's good, because then we can log it that way. But, you know, I also don't want things getting lost. So if it's necessary to do it right away so it doesn't get lost, that's okay. Okay. All right. Do you want to switch back? You?
Thank you. Okay, well, all my puzzle pieces are put back together. Thank you. Are you leaving? Thank you so much for coming. Have a great night. Got to be nice. Okay. All right. No. All right. Okay. Miss Hewitt? No, let's. Miss Hewitt, hang on one sec.
This, Michelle Hewitt, Miss Hewitt, is York Mills's child and youth worker. And so we are very, very fortunate to have her supporting all of our students. She is also the staff advisor for our Black Student Alliance. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you very much. Okay. And okay. You know what it is? It's this. Okay. All right. I would like to open up the floor to any new business. Any questions from the floor? Yes? Okay. Reem? Oh, yes. First, oh, my goodness. How could I forget that? Thank you. Thank you, Jenna. That was wonderful. Really informative. I got some really great notes out of this. Informed choices was my big thing. And it's easier to take a course out than to put in. So that was my key takeaway tonight for that. So. Fantastic. Do you want to?
Just to let everyone know, the Ms. Grizella's slide deck or presentation is on the guidance website, as well as I linked it to the Friday forecast as well. Okay.
Okay, and I think we have a question from the floor. Esther?
Yeah, I think the question is for Ms. Gage. And so I think you've already mentioned grade 12 graduation. Is it on June 28th? 27th?
My calendar.
I had a 24th.
It's not the 24th. It's a Tuesday. 27th.
Okay, and my second question is like, do you have the date for the prom?
I didn't want to mention either of those dates because my plan is to call the grade 12s down, and we have a couple grade 12s here, but I know that you'll keep quiet. Just at the end of period 2 next week, and we're going to release the dates and have a little bit of a mini announcement. Yeah. Both dates are set, and we've booked the venues. Yeah.
That's exciting. Okay. So, anyone else have questions for this evening? I have a few for you, if no one else. How did you find tonight's presentation? Is this something we should be doing on an ongoing basis? Okay. I want to ask because if we get it into the notes and it's in our meeting, in our minutes, it gives next year's team the opportunity to take what was best of what we did this year and perhaps, you know, lessen the efforts that were made on things that weren't so popular. I won't be here next year, so I want to make sure that, you know, we want to leave as much of the positives as we can, because it's been a lot of work on infrastructure this year, building school council, especially with the bylaws. So, you know, I look to you for feedback. It's your school council, it's your school, it's your child that goes here. What is the best thing we can do to help you as they continue to engage less with you and you seek more information, especially with major decisions coming up. And we all know grade 9 to 12 goes by so quickly. So as these young ladies are facing in grade 12. They've got some decisions to make, and so, you know, what can we do to help you in those formative years before you get to 12? So I'd love to hear feedback from you. I'm always open to that, good or bad, it doesn't matter. I take it fairly neutrally, and I try and build on that. That being said, what can we do? What can we do to improve? Obviously, we heard a comment tonight about minutes. Is there something else we can do for you? We have 2 meetings left. And if we can do something that can help and it works, then we know for next year we can build that in.
Hi, I believe at the end of the year, you can send out a Google form and ask parents feedback, how the performance for the school council did this year, and you can present that at the end of the year. And
That's a great idea.
just create a Google form and send it out to the school body.
Perfect. Thank you, Randy. The other question I have is, with 2 meetings left, should we include our pro-grant council presentation in those meetings, or would you like to have a separate date? Sorry, it's not called pro-grant anymore. Let me get the new name. It's the School Council Innovation Grant. So we are having a speaker that will, 1 or 2 perhaps, and perhaps something else along with that on the side. Would you like to do that on school council night, or would you prefer a separate night? Separate, okay. Could I get a show of hands for separate? Okay, and same? Okay, so we'll definitely set up a different night for that then. Just make a note of that. Could we get a raise, could we have a show of hands again, sorry, for those who want a separate night? I have 9. And for those on the same night, I think we had none. It was 0. Randy, another comment? Or were you voting? Okay. So that's, I think, 10 then. All right. Ms. Gage, we're ahead of schedule. Any final thoughts? Yeah, it was a wonderful meeting. Randy, question from the floor?
I'd just like to thank the presentation from the Black Student Alliance. As it was a wonderful presentation. And I also like to thank the tech team and their TSB staff coming in and helping us do our first official hybrid. So thank you for that. It makes it more inclusive for everybody to attend the meetings.
How about a big round of applause for the tech team, folks? And for our student voice tonight, and for Ms. Rizala for her wonderful presentation. I would, if we can go to the next slide, okay. Oh, yes, happy Valentine's, everyone, coming up. And I hope you all are appreciative of your loved ones. Next slide. Thank you very much for coming tonight. I'd like to call for an adjournment at this time. If we go to the next slide, could I get a motion to adjourn our meeting? And that is Randy. And next slide. And neither one of you can. I'm sorry, you can't. You can't put in. You're not SAC council members, unfortunately. Oh, that is something I would like to say. As we put our bylaws into place, I have spoken to a teacher who is willing to come on board as from school, who will be joining our student council at our next meeting. Okay, so we're just starting to put together those pieces. Seconder to the motion. I need someone from council. All right, Kathy. All right. Well then, everyone have a safe night. It's wet outside. Be careful. Watch out for the pylons. and have a wonderful evening. If you care to stick around and chat, you're more than welcome to. We have new carpet on the floor, so we might as well take advantage of that. We also have wonderful snacks in the back, so thank you all again. All right, okay. All right, thank you very much. Have a great evening.